It's scenic, it's historic, and it's shockingly affordable. We are talking Onion Creek. It's not your average golf club. It hosted the very first senior PGA Tour event back in the 70s. It's 27 holes, and I'm going to tell you all about that golf course today. I'm going to tell you what kind of homes you can find there, nearby hotspots, schools, basically what it's like to live in Onion Creek. Hi, I'm Nicole Cooper, UT Golf alum and real estate pro. I've been helping people buy and sell properties in the Austin area for over 15 years, especially in golf communities. I don't just know the market, I've played every single one of these courses and walked all of those fairways. So if you're looking for the right lifestyle on the golf course, you're in the right spot. Let's get started on Onion Creek right now. First off, I'm going to show you where it is and how to get there. If we check in the map here, basically this is downtown Austin right here, and it's just a straight shot down I-35, and the Onion Creek Country Club and community is tucked right here just off to the east of I-35. When I put on the satellite layer here, you can see that Onion Creek actually flows right through the center of the community, and that brings both pros and cons. We're going to talk about that later as to what that creek does to the community. And being on that southeast corner of town, it is an easy trek right over here to the airport. This is a roundabout way to the back because there's a little traffic right now while I'm filming this, so the map brought us around back, but you're no more than 10 miles from the airport, and you can head back through the little neighborhoods here if you want to have a less traffic-y kind of way. Onion Creek is just such a simple commute from Austin, but you do need to realize that, as you can see here, the main artery coming in and out is I-35, and I-35 basically runs all the way from Mexico to Canada, so it gets very, very busy. You have to commute downtown for like an 8 to 5 job. It can be quite a drag on this section right here from basically Buda all the way into Austin. If you don't have to commute to downtown Austin, then it's a wonderful neighborhood to choose. And we'll stay here in the map and go over the schools next. Here is the Onion Creek neighborhood here. These schools all feed into the Austin ISD, which gets a grade of a 77 out of 100. It's a large enrollment at just over 73,000 students. Here's our diversity graph in the middle, and we have about 16.5 students per teacher. As we narrow down to Blazer Elementary, they get a B, 82 out of 100, 1,168 students. Here's a diversity graph, and they roll in about just under 17 students per teacher. From Blazer, we're gonna hop over here to Paredes Middle School. It is west of the interstate over by Searight Park. A little bit of an older school there, and the grades are quite a bit lower. So from Blazer Elementary to get to the middle school, you're coming back into town a little bit further up to Slaughter Lane, and west of I-35, it's over just next to the Searight Park, which is an amazing park. We'll go into that a little bit later. And then finally, we have our Akins High School right over here just across the interstate. Here's the front of the school, and then some of the classroom scenes here. And then as far as the ratings go for the high school, they also get a C, 77 out of 100, just over 2,600 enrollment. Here's a diversity graph here, and they have about 18 students per teacher. So those are the school summary that you're going to feed into naturally if you stay in the public school system for that area. All right, from the schools, now we're going to talk about my favorite part, and that is the golf course. The golf course is 27 holes, originally designed in the 70s, 1974 to be exact, by Jimmy DeMeritt, and then it was expanded by Ben Crenshaw to add that third set of nines there. It's a very walkable golf course, and some of it is, or a lot of it I should say, is along Onion Creek. Here, let's have a look at some pictures over here. We're zoomed in on the course here, or on the neighborhood here, and I just want to show you the aerial view of how the fairways loop back and forth here through the neighborhood. And up at the club, you can see we have tennis courts, and we have a big facility over here with a large swimming pool. We have a driving range, big practice putting green, so everything a normal country club should have. And then some of the gorgeous pictures from the course. This is a par 4, and right down here in this bottom part, that is Onion Creek, and it runs all along the right of this hole right here, and you'll see it throughout the course on a whole lot of the holes. Now, earlier I mentioned that there's some good things and some bad things about the Onion Creek, and that means the good things are it brings the beautiful scenery, it brings the water through the course, but the bad part is is that it floods. So when we get severe rains like we do sometimes, the original front 9 can be completely underwater and it just washes out the bunkers. It wreaks havoc on the greens and things. So one of the challenges that I find hardest at Onion Creek is reading the greens, because they've all been kind of installed and re-put in and regrown at different times. So depending on where you're playing on the course, that green, the grass on the green could have been there for 20 years, or it could have just washed out by a flood a couple years ago and be relatively new grass. So it's all completely different, and it is so hard to read the greens. You really need to have a member play with you to help you out when you go out there the first time. But it's super beautiful. Those big beautiful pecan trees all down in the bottom. Here's a picture of some of those big beautiful pecan trees. I mean, they live near the creek and near the black soil sandy loam that we have down in that area, and so they just line the fairway all along the creek. So not only do you have to keep it out of the water, you have to keep it out of the trees that are bordering the water, but it's super beautiful. Here's an angle looking out towards the driving range here, and just to the right of that you have a big short game practice area with bunkers and pitching greens you can practice on. And here's a view of the club from the back. This is the beautiful swimming pool they have. They have a little baby pool over here as well. And this angle, this would be the large dining room, and then towards the back side, that's where they're going to have live music out back. They have a big wooden deck out there, and the grill is on that back side. And lastly, here's one more view of just those beautiful pecan trees that line the fairways out there. Now let's talk memberships. It's one of the most affordable in town. There's only one club that's costs less than this to get into, that's River Place, but this one, Onion Creek, currently is charging $15,000 initiation fee. They even let you break it up into payments. Very easy to deal with out at Onion Creek. They're trying to grow their membership, and right now it's one of the best bangs for your buck in all of the Austin area. And don't forget, you get 3 sets of 9. You get 27 holes, so you can swap them around and never get bored of which course you're going to play. Now, what kind of home can you expect to find out there? Well, also great value. You can get into the neighborhood in the 500,000s. Now, one thing you have to be super careful of, I mentioned the Onion Creek going through on the golf course. Well, it goes through the entire neighborhood. So let's have a look at this map real fast. I want to show you. So this blue area is the flood zone. So I've zoomed in here on the community itself, and you can see through the blue here, you can see the golf course in the background. There's a 100-year floodplain and a 500-year floodplain. The 100-year floodplain means that we expect to have one of those, that area underwater every 100 years, and the 500-year floodplain would mean we'd expect to have that area underwater every 500 years. You have to check with banks. Sometimes they make you carry flood insurance on the 500-year floodplain. Sometimes they don't. The 100-year floodplain, you definitely have to carry flood insurance. I mean, who wouldn't want to, because it's going to get flooded. It's not if, it's when. So you really have to be careful when you're purchasing a home in Onion Creek to make sure you're not in the floodplain. There are plenty of beautiful homes in the area. I mean, geez, my mom lives out there. She's not in the floodplain and absolutely loves it. So it's very easy to find a beautiful home, but you need to very much do your due diligence on the front end to make sure you're not making an offer on something that could be flooded. So now that we've talked about what can be flooded, let's look at an example of a house. Look at this, a beautiful house, 2,658 square feet, 2/10 of an acre, $527,000, $500, and this one was built in 2002. So this is a very common type of home you'll find in Onion Creek, with the white rock on the outside and the garage door facing the front. I'd say most of them would have a fireplace in the neighborhood, and then if they haven't changed out the tile yet, this is a very common color for the early 2000s on the flooring. Now look at this one. This one's on the golf course. You can get on the golf course for under $1 million in Austin. That's a good deal. So $785,000, just over 2,600 square feet, 2/10 of an acre, and this one was built in 2005. You can see here the proximity to the golf course. You have a couple of trees between you and the golf course. Maybe that'll keep the balls from hitting in your yard. And one thing to note at Onion Creek, cannot build a rear yard fence unless you have a swimming pool. They want all the yards to just open straight onto the golf course, so the only way you can have an enclosed rear yard is to have a water feature or a swimming pool where you have insurance clauses where you have to block that off for safety purposes. So if you have a dog and you're thinking about living on the golf course in Onion Creek, you may need to double check the kind of fencing, if it can use one of those underground fences for your dog, or if maybe you need to get one with a swimming pool so you can actually have a proper fence. I've had quite a few clients that come through there and they're like, yeah, we want to live on the golf course, but we have this puppy and it's not been trained yet, and there's absolutely no way they're going to stay where they're supposed to. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. You get to look straight and walk straight out on the golf course like it's part of your yard, but if you need to keep something in a fence, it can be a bit of a challenge, so keep that in mind. And one more example here, quite a bit bigger. Look, you can almost get a 5,000 square foot house for $829,000 in a golf community. That's a very good value. This one's built in 1990, so this is the third style you'll find in Onion Creek. A little bit more of those pointy roof lines and a 2-story house and lots of brick. Since Onion Creek started in the 70s, you're going to have homes from the 70s through the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and even up to 2010. So you're going to have a very wide range of conditions throughout the neighborhood. So you're going to have a very, very wide range of price points. Some of them are still in their original condition. They've been owned by the same person the whole time and they've never been remodeled. Some of them have been completely gutted and are just gorgeous and on today's trend. So it's hard to say what your average price is in there because it just depends if it's original or if it's been fixed up today's current lovely trends. But keep in mind, you can get on the golf course for under $1 million, even under $800,000. That's a good deal. All right, let's talk amenities and lifestyle for the club and the community. One great thing about the community is they have a security guard that drives through 24/7. It's not gated, but he or she does make the rounds all the time, and even they'll call you if you leave your garage open for too long. As far as the club goes, here is the grill, the after golf round, the casual dining area, and then this picture here is where they have the formal dining area. You host weddings and banquets and of course after golf events in this particular spot. And they have special chefs nights where they have themes, they have card games, they have a lot of social activities going on up at the club too. Over at the racket sports area, they have a few different types of courts. They have regular tennis courts, they have clay courts, and of course they have access to do the pickleball courts on certain times. I've already shown you the swimming pool, but here's a shot where you can actually see the kiddie pool here right next to that main pool. And then right out behind there, that's the golf course. So it's super pretty. You're overlooking the par 4 there behind the clubhouse. And every morning and every evening, you're also going to see deer out there. It's really pretty. And this is that view looking from the swimming pool back over that par 4 towards the creek. So you get an idea of what it feels like to be up there at the swimming pool. And they have a fitness center and a great pro shop out there. So whatever you're looking to do country club wise, they have it. Now let's talk about nearby hotspots. We're going to start with that Marymoor Searight Park that I already spoke about earlier. It is huge. They have playgrounds, hiking areas, disc golf or frisbee golf. They have picnic tables. Here's one of the trails. Note this, I lost Jameson in there for a hot minute one time because he chased a deer. There are deer all throughout there. Luckily, the park was big enough that he didn't run out into the road anywhere, and eventually I found the little booger. Here's the creek, and there it is. There's an example. That's what's all in there. So if you have a dog that likes to chase deer, keep a leash on him. And lastly, here's one of the little pavilions in the area. So plenty of space for everybody to use that park. So that's right over here just to the northwest of Onion Creek. Onion Creek's right here, so we're just hopping over the interstate, and now we're going to come back over to the east side and go to McKinney Falls State Park. Gorgeous park. You can swim when there's rain. Sometimes when we have a drought like now, there's not much water in there, but it is a really gorgeous park that you can hike all throughout and have those beautiful limestone formations down in the creek. And you can let your dogs off in there just a tiny bit, but probably should keep them on a leash there too if they like to chase deer. So McKinney Falls and the Marymoor Searight Park are both within 10 minutes of Onion Creek, and a really great little half-day trip or day trip to hang out there and walk around and get some nature in. Okay, as far as shopping goes, here's your Onion Creek Club right here. Just across the interstate and up one exit, you have all the shopping you can imagine. Right up here at Slaughter Lane, you have these mega centers. You've got Walmart, Target, restaurants, all of the big box stores right there, HEB shopping, and then you have fun stuff like Dave & Buster's, which is one of those game places where you have dinner and then play all the video games, arcade games, and all the fun stuff like that. Cinemas are across the street. You have everything right there there. You don't have to go all the way into Austin to be able to go shopping for all of your necessary everyday items. And lastly, before we move on, I'll just point out right out here at the front of the entrance to the neighborhood, you have Baylor Scott and White Medical Center, so you have that right nearby. There's also some urgent care clinics right across the highway, and then if you go the other direction down towards Buda, down this way, they have a brand new ER down there that you can get in and out of very quickly. So if you're living in Onion Creek and you have a kind of a medical emergency, you can get down to Buda very quickly, as opposed to coming in Austin and going to those larger ERs or I mean, you don't have to be going to the ER, you can just be going to the hospital for some medical care. But I'm just saying it's easy to get down to Buda, and it's a lot less traffic that way and a little bit smaller town feel. All right, so the pros and the cons all wrapped up in one. First of all, it is a very affordable private country club. It has easy access to downtown and the airport. It's got a lot of history, and there are 27 holes for a very low price. You get 3 sets of 9. It's got such a peaceful vibe once you get out there. The very mature trees that grow over the roads. It's just a really well-established and beautifully scenic neighborhood where you're gonna find deer, fox, turkeys, and all the little wildlife running all around the neighborhood. And lastly, it's great value for real estate. So the cons. Well, it's a little bit of an older club, so it's not as updated and flashy as, say, your Barton Creek or Westlake Country Club or anything like that. You have to be very, very careful about the flooding in the neighborhood. It happens, and you just need to make sure you're not in one area that you can't get out if it does flood. And lastly, a lot of the homes in there still need remodeling, so you might get a good value, but you're probably going to have to put a little elbow grease on those lower priced properties in the neighborhood. So basically, if you're looking something with a little charm, off the beaten path, a little bit more quiet, this might be the one for you. And if you want to see a house in person to see what they look like, if you want to tour the neighborhood, we're always here to help you. All you have to do is call, text, email, shoot us a Zoom call request. We're always available to help you find the perfect home that matches your lifestyle. So until next time, be kind to yourself and others. I can't wait to see you around town.